Zonja Gallovej, këto ditë po zhvillohet debat i nxehtë rreth ligjit për amnisti. Kritikët thonë se ligji përbën ndërhyrje në punën e prokurorisë dhe gjykatës. Cili është vlerësimi juaj? A është ky ligj në vijim me vlerat dhe parimet evropiane?
Well, I think the first thing is, I think it's important that the law was passed by a majority in the Parliament and it had cross-party support. I think that's an important part of any reconciliation process. I also think it can only be the first step in a reconciliation process. There's a lot more to be done to overcome the political divide. At the same time, there has to be accountability for what happened in April, on 27 April, and those who organised the event and those who perpetrated violence need to be held to account, and the law allows for that to happen.
Zbatimi i marrëveshjes së Prespës ka mbërritur në fazën përfundimtare, por duke pasur parasysh debatin që zhvillohet në Greqi, mendoni se procesi rrezikohet në Parlamentin grek dhe çfarë nëse ky proces dështon në Greqi?
Well, we've said from the beginning that we think the leaders of both countries were extremely courageous to take this agreement forward because the agreement matters for both countries' stability, for both countries' prosperity going forward. Now, Prime Minister Tsipras has recently very publicly committed once again to taking Prespa through the Greek Parliament and we're reassured by that pledge.
Nëse procesi përfundon me sukses, a ka garanci Maqedonia që në qershor të fillojë bisedimet me Bashkimin Evropian apo ky proces mund të bllokohet nga ndonjë shtet tjetër antar i Bashkimit Evropian dhe si mundet Mbretëria e Bashkuar ta ndihmojë këtë proces?
So the June European Councils this year welcomed the progress that Macedonia has made with particular reference to the historic Prespa agreement. The conclusions also highlighted the areas where Macedonia needed to continue to show progress on the reform track, intelligence reform, public administration, rule of law. And I think it's important to note that, yes, these are areas that are important for meeting EU standards, but they're also vital for Macedonia's citizens. So the government started to show what it's doing through originally Plan 369 and now Plan 18. We, as the United Kingdom, are supporting in all these areas. Just to give you a couple of examples, on intelligence reform, we recently were part of the launch of the intelligence oversight in Parliament to help the parliamentary committees. On public administration reform, on Monday the open portal will launch, which we're supporting and will actually allow Macedonians to see and understand what their government is doing and how to get access to services. And on judicial reform, there's lots of work going on and we're supporting various activities, including again on the transparency side, allowing people to see what's happening on judicial reform and what's being done in their name on justice.
A duhet shtetet anëtare të Bashkimit Evropian dhe bashkësia ndërkombëtare të ishin më të zëshme ndaj autoriteteve hungareze sa i përket vendimit për azil dhe për mos ekstradimin e ish kryeministrit Nikola Gruevski të dënuar me burg?
I don't want to speak for other EU member states, but I can say that the UK position has been very clear on this, that there needs to be accountability for what happened in Macedonia. The rule of law is important and this case should have been brought to its end here in Macedonia.
Si do të ndikojë Brexit ndaj marrëdhënieve mes Maqedonisë dhe Mbretërisë së Bashkuar?
Well, we keep saying these phrases, but we've made very clear we're leaving the European Union. We're not leaving Europe. We're still a member of NATO, a global power, one of the permanent 5 members of the UN Security Council. And we see a secure and stable and prosperous Macedonia and a secure and stable, prosperous Western Balkans as being in Europe's interests and being in the UK's interests. And in the last year, I think we can really show how committed we are to that. We had the Western Balkans Summit we hosted in the United Kingdom earlier this year. There, we highlighted the fact that we're now doubling our programme funding for the region over the next 3 years. We're doubling the number of staff we have in the region. At the same time, we've had a whole series of visits here this year from the Prime Minister, the Duke of Kent, the Minister of Europe. And this is the 25th year of our diplomatic relations with Macedonia. And going into the next 25 years, I actually expect our relationship just to carry on growing and strengthening.
Zonja Gallovej, ju faleminderit për intervistën.
Thank you.